What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast, and I'm your host, John. On this episode, I want to talk about behaviour patterns. Now, the idea for this video come about from looking back over my past 30 odd videos and looking at where I am now. And that's something new for me because I'm not somebody that's big on social media. Before my daughter, I wasn't somebody that's big on taking pictures. And quite frankly, there's parts of that I regret. There's a lot to be learned from being able to capture a moment. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot to be learned from actually experiencing the moment and not living your life through a camera. But having some references to what you've been like or what you've been doing and everything else, it's great feedback for yourself. Being able to not just think about how my mood's been over the past couple of months, but be able to look back, whether, no matter the title of the episode, I know how my mannerisms are, what headspace I'm in and everything else, depending on how I come through on camera. So anytime that I am feeling low or demotivated and just exhausted, I have a whole arsenal now of times where I felt like that before, but I pushed through and I know inevitably that I'll get to the other side of it. Now, I always know that I'll get to the other side regardless. I mean, I'm far too stubborn to give up. But having that reference point to be able to say, look, you've been in this space before, there you are talking at a low point or talking about a low point, whatever it is. And there you are a couple of weeks later talking about a good point. Like I've said repeatedly, it's riding the wave of life. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, and realistically, you're just hoping you don't drown. And that's it. So being able to step back from when you're in the problems and stress down everything else and say, look, I've been here before. It's just wearing a different outfit. It's just stress in another form, or problems in another form. You've dealt with the problems before, you've dealt with adversity before and problems before, you'll deal with it again. So being able to look at those patterns and kind of understand that, it definitely helps to kind of break that cycle of negative behaviour patterns. And I've said it before about getting into a routine and everything else. And sometimes it is easy to get into a routine and everything else, but then sometimes life doesn't allow for it. I've been very regimented and very strict in routines before, and I've been very chaotic as well. And realistically, more often than not, the environment's kind of the same, but it's how I deal with the environment. Realistically, no matter the environment that you're in, it's always going to be your actions that define the outcomes. There's always going to be things out of your control, no matter what you do in life. So focus on the things you can control and accept the things you can't. But having a way, whether it be through looking back over your social media or your text with your best mate or a project that you're doing or talking to family or looking over family albums, whatever it is, find a way to kind of step back and observe your own patterns, because there's a lot that you'll learn about yourself. I don't think we all know ourselves as much as we think we do. There's going to be a lot to learn from stepping outside of yourself and watching what you do. We're all so close to our own lives, or quite obviously, but we're all so close to our own lives that sometimes we lose sight of who we are. And I've been guilty of that many times. I'm still trying to figure out who I am. But denying the fact that I need to do that, or denying the fact that there's figuring out to be done, it ain't going to help anybody. So having a way to step outside of yourself and a way to say, look, this is me on my journey and this is how I've been going on my journey. Even if you don't share it with people, do a diary for yourself or do a video log for yourself, whatever it is. If you're trying to progress your life and trying to get places, find a medium in which you can track it. Because by tracking it, you'll find out so much more. If you're struggling to lose weight, do a food diary. I guarantee you'll figure out where the problem is. If you're struggling to save money, do a finance sheet. Like, get all your expenses, write them down. All your income, write it down. Like, whatever the problem is, find a way to quantify it, and you'll find a way to solve it. And that's all it is. So if you can observe your behavior patterns and see what behavior patterns you do well, that's a pat on the back for you. That's something that you're doing well and you know that you're doing for you. If you see a pattern that is negative or is not adding value to your life or adding value to the lives of people around you, you know it's a behavior that you can reduce or cut out of your life. You don't need, it's not productive. And it's not to say you have to be productive all of the time, but if we're all trying to pursue the happiest life possible, cutting out the bull is going to be the start of it. Like, once you cut out what you know is not good for you or what you know you don't want in your life, what's left is going to leave you pretty happy, at least from a logic standpoint. So take some time and see if you can step outside of yourself and observe yourself outside of the day-to-day. Keep a diary, keep a video log, whatever it is. Find a way to observe yourself and observe your behaviors and see what you can learn. You'll probably surprise yourself. I know I have. And again, I'm not to say that I'm an expert on myself or people or behavior or whatever, but I wake up in my skin every single day. I deal with my life every single day. And if I can learn how to deal with my life a bit better, then I want to do that. So hopefully this helps anyone that's trying to pursue the same thing. And you never know, maybe we'll be talking about your video diary one day or something else. Like, there's so many possibilities out there. Don't be afraid to pursue them, and don't be afraid to look at yourself with a magnifying glass. You might upset yourself a couple of times, but at the end of the day, it's your life. So unless you get control of it, nobody is. The seed for this episode is going to be, if you are struggling with yourself and progress, try to observe yourself for 6 months. I know it may seem like a long time, or it may seem like you're not going to stick to it, but start small. Find the most convenient way to observe your habits and observe how you are. And keep it going, build slowly. Like, there's so much you'll learn from yourself. And I think it's one of those things, once you start realizing how much you can better your life by observing your own behaviors and improving on them, that it will snowball into wanting to do it more. Because once you've seen the payoff, then you get the reward. So, all the best, and I'll catch you on the next one.